The last 4 years has seen the rise of the low to mid assist EMTB. They come in many shapes and forms, different power outputs and different battery capacities. And they're actually a pretty hot topic, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And the subject we're tackling today is what exactly can they do and who are they for?
Now, it all started for EMBN on the red rocks of the south of France with the Lapierre E-Zesty back in 2018. Now, that sported the Fazua Evation system. I think it was around about 50 Newton meters, but light to mid assist bikes actually come in many shapes and forms, don't they?
Yes, they did. We saw Specialized back in 2020 launch the Levo SL, which was a 150mm travel bike. And a couple of years later, we saw the Kenevo SL come onto the market, 170mm travel. Bit of a downhill monster, that one, right?
That was definitely a bike you loved down at the bike park, wasn't
Definitely,
it, Chris?
it was a good one.
Now, shortly after that, Orbea launched the Rise, which sported a EP8 RS motor, which was kind of a detuned EP8, if you like. That bike was super lightweight, 17 kilos for the high-end model. But, 150 travel, but there's also longer travel bikes.
Yeah, don't forget that Rottweiler RXF. That was 180mm travel, I believe, on that one. It's quite a big hitting machine. Again, slightly smaller motor in that one, wasn't it?
Slightly detuned motor. That's what sort of stands out the Rottweiler and the Orbea from the likes of the Lapierre and the Specialized is the fact that they actually had the standard size motor, which was detuned. Now, the thing with the Rottweiler, you can actually run that bike at the full power EPA, which is 85 Newton meters, or you could run it at 30 or 60 Newton meters as well, which is kind of quite a lot of adjustability in that.
Yeah.
But when we talk about lightweight bikes, a lot of people associate them with weight, don't they? Now, one bike which caught our attention last year was the Transalp with the Maxon motor, which I think was around about 17 kilos. But this year at the Eurobike show, we saw a Maxon bike which was 14 kilos.
Wow, crazy.
I guess that's the point, is it? What is a mid-travel mountain bike? Is it 13?
Yeah, something like that, I'd say. Yeah, 13 kilos.
So weight, when we're talking about these lightweight bikes, we need to obviously talk about weight. Now, to just finish off with some of the bikes in the past few years, obviously this year was a mighty year. Fazua launched the Ride 60 on some fantastic bikes, didn't they?
Yeah, the Pivot Shuttle SL, and of course that Transition Relay, which really blew things up, didn't it?
It does, and I mean, that was, it was available both as a 150 bike or as a 160 bike, 27.5 or 29-inch wheels. But I think, Chris, the year possibly belongs to the Trek Fuel EXE with the all-new TQ motor, possibly one of the quietest motors on the market, and pumping up 50 Newton meters, which actually is a difference, isn't it, between the Fuel EXE and the Kenevo SL.
So, yeah.
Different purposes though, Chris, right?
Yeah, got big hitting machines or trail bikes. That's a 150 bike, that's a 170mm travel bike, totally different geometry, two different bikes, but kind of the same thinking on each, power-wise and things like that, isn't it?
Well, kind of. We now have some so-called lightweight bikes with varying amounts of travel, power and weight. For example, the mighty Kenevo SL might be much more bike than an Orbea or Trek on downhill terrain, but is actually less power, 35 Newton meters compared to 60 Newton meters and 50 Newton meters on the Trek. But we now have a 170mm gravity style bike which actually weighs around the same weight as the trail orientated Orbea and Trek bikes. I told you it's complex, and 2022 added to this even more. The genre of light power now being shifted somewhat with the launch of that Trek Fuel with the TQ motor and the new breed of Fazua Ride 60 bikes. It does seem that light power has been largely replaced by mid power. So we now have a situation where light is no longer light power and lightweight. Well, that's a big question. Okay, folks, let's begin to attempt to answer the question. Who actually are these lightweight bikes for?
So that's a great question. Who are these bikes actually for? Bikes such as the Trek Fuel EXE, Specialized Kenevo SL, and let's not forget that high bike like too. Is it all about weight, Steve?
Well, apparently so. I mean, these bikes are marketed and sold by many bike companies as bikes which are actually closer towards MTB than they are towards EMTB.
Yeah.
But is that actually correct? Now, we mentioned a minute ago an MTB, let's look at a mid-travel MTB. Weighs in around about 13 kilos, don't they? How much do these bikes weigh? Let's have a look. The Trek, 18 and a half? What about the Kenevo
I think
SL?
it's similar as well, around 19 kilos, something like that. And of course, pretty lightweight for such a big hitting bike, isn't it?
Yeah, so they actually, I mean, me and Chris have talked about this at length. Now, if you went down to the bike park, Chris, what is the bike you choose?
I think I'd be taking the Kenevo SL. It's light, it's nimble, I can chuck it around in the air, and it gives a lively ride down the hill.
But would you choose the Kenevo SL over the standard Kenevo? That's the question.
At the bike park? That's a good question. I don't know. It's a fine line, that one.
Is it? But surely the Kenevo SL is able to be flicked around a little bit easier.
It is.
You've been rattling on to me that for years.
When it comes down, it depends what style of bike park you're riding. If it's nice, smooth trail, then yeah, the Kenevo SL. But if it's rough, it's gnarly, I think that weight of the bigger Kenevo actually plants you in the corners, gives you a bit more grip. It depends what you want, air or, traditional downhill style.
So what you're saying is weight is actually a good thing on certain occasions. Okay, and Chris, well, let me put this to you. I mean, you might have seen the bike we've featured a few weeks ago with Johnny Walker. He's got the Trek Rail. Now, the Trek Rail, it comes out to the factory at 150mm travel. What he did is he bolted a 170 fork on. He changed the geometry on it. He put a coil shock on it, so you run that as like a bike park enduro style bike. However, he was able to change it into more of a trail style bike with an air shock, a 160 fork, and also lightweight wheels. And he was able to bring that bike in at 19 kilos. Wow. So the question I'm sure many of you people are asking is, why would you not have a full power EMTB, which you could ride in, say, eco mode and trail mode at the same weight? So is weight really what we're talking about?
Good question, that one. I think, if you have got that ability to bring that bike down, why wouldn't you choose, exactly a full-powered bike? Because they're so adjustable, aren't they? You could turn it down to have the same amount of assist as something like a Kenevo SL, and the ability to turn it up all the way to turbo if you do get that horrible, gnarly section in front of you.
The truth is that mid-travel MTBs can weigh anything from 13 to 17 kilos, depending on the specification. Lightweight EMTBs too, from 16 to 20 kilos this time. But full-power AMTBs can weigh under 20 kilos too. You could also argue that a Canyon Spectralon at 150mm travel with a mighty 720 watt-hour battery is also a lightweight EMTB at 21 kilos. Chris, it's a really good point, but actually we would like to know what you guys think about light to mid assist bikes. I mean, are they bikes for you? Because, let's face it, you and me come from more of a motorcycle background, trials riding, where we love those super technical climbs, which in many ways you can only do on a full power bike. But having said that, you can do it if you're a lighter rider. But folks, let's know what you think down in the comments. We're more than happy to get involved in it. But what I'd say to you in reply to that is actually our colleague, the Don, who is absolutely obsessed with his Kenevo SL. He thinks it's the bike that will transition him from mountain bike to a full-time EMTB.
Definitely.
And I think there's a lot of people out there who do use, like a 150mm Trek Fuel XE, the pivots, the transitions, all those kind of bikes. So I think there is a place, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you are coming from a mountain bike and you jump onto one of those mid-powered bikes, it's definitely going to feel like you've got a lot of power going on. But the problem is, I think if you go from a full-powered bike back to that bike, that's where you might see that weakness actually become apparent.
Yeah, but they're certainly not weak, and certainly for maybe lighter riders when they transition from a mountain bike to bikes such as the Levo SL or the Trek Fuel XE. It's gonna actually expand their horizons. It's gonna allow them to tackle that technical climb which they weren't able to do before. It's gonna enable them to maybe go on those massive adventures which incorporate mud or stream beds and stuff like that. And also, one really, really important factor is they actually are becoming to look more like standard mountain bikes, aren't they? The silhouette of them.
Definitely, but I think, is that something we want to hide? Or is it something that is to be proud of? Do we want to be hiding these big batteries and motors, or do we want to be separated from mountain biking? Why I don't see the need to hide it. Oh,
interesting. I didn't actually expect Chris to come with that one. I guess, when we look at some of the Husqvarna bikes, Husqvarna are proud to say, this is a bike with a motor. But I want to touch on something you mentioned there, Chris, and that is batteries. Now, some of these bikes, actually all of these bikes, come with around about 350 watt-hour batteries on average. And actually, that is the thing that makes them lighter weight.
Yeah.
If you put a full power battery in these bikes, they actually become the same weight as, a full power bike. So the time you bolt on, the range extenders, they're coming around about the same weight, aren't they? So I think these are going to be questions you guys will be asking when you come to buy your bike. So let's explore a few more other related subjects around about light to mid-assist bikes. I think one group of people which they will appeal to is people who have not got much time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And also those who don't really want to go to a full power e-mountain bike.
Yeah, do you want to make that transition? I think people, such as mums and dads who've got kids who are quite time constrained, just want to get off that quick ride in the morning. They might not do it on the mountain bike, but with one of these bikes, it's simply going to turn those 2-hour rides into something you can probably smash around in an hour before the kids are even woken up.
Absolutely. And going to the other end of the age spectrum, people who've got grown-up kids like myself, possibly who've got a group of friends who ride mountain bikes, but maybe lost a little bit of fitness, so to speak. So, you want to be able to go out and keep up and still enjoy that ride and the, the social side of mountain biking, go down the pub, have a few beers after, but don't feel like you're getting left behind.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Be huffing and puffing away on those climbs whilst your mates are disappearing off into the distance. Not a good feeling, right?
Maybe controversial. I think these style bikes, they're not inexpensive. They're possibly only for people that can afford them.
Yeah, they are good money, but then thinking about it, these bikes are almost 2 bikes in one. You can switch it off and pretty much ride it as a standard mountain bike. You've got that lightweight package, or turn it on and have that power of an e-bike. 2 bikes in one this.
You'd make a great salesman, I'll tell you that. I think one thing that is on my mind is, in as much as, me and you are like 90 kilos on a good day, thereabouts, I think lighter riders, maybe riders who are like 50 or 60 kilos, can actually ride technical terrain on a 35 or 50 Newton meter bike just as easily as we can ride technical terrain on full power bikes. So I think that's definitely one category of person who lightweight e-bikes are for. This really is a big subject, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
It's like, the more we think about it, and let's not forget, light to mid assist are quite varied in terms of travel and motors and batteries. But I think one subject is light to mid-assist bikes are for people who want to pretend that they're not actually riding an e-mountain bike.
Oh, these stealth e-bikers, right?
They are pretty stealth, aren't they? I think another group of people they might be for is for riders who don't want to take the full plunge into full power EMTB.
Yeah, possibly. I think another category of people is those people who maybe want more of a workout. Those riders that want to be riders of their bikes rather than the passengers. That kind of ride you can get on a full powered e-mountain bike, turbo mode, sit there and the bike does all the work and you just...
You say that. I want to make this very, very clear to anybody who's thinking about either light, mid or full power bikes. You can have a workout on a light assist bike, a mid assist bike, or a full power e-mountain bike. It's basically down to you. It's down to what mode you're riding. And as we actually found out with Superfit Cy Richardson on GCN, if you take someone to a super technical rock section in the mountains, they're exhausting, irrespective of the power, right?
Yeah, and definitely even with that full powered bike, turn it off, it's going to be harder than a mountain bike, right?
Absolutely. So folks, hopefully we've helped with some insight into just who e-mountain bikes for. It's a short list. I'm sure there are many more groups of people who will be delighted with a bike such as this. Now, one thing I have learned massively whilst riding the likes of the KSL or the Trek Fuel XE is they are actually breeds. Now, I was so happy to be reacquainted with some trail center riding on the Fuel EXE recently. I really think that 29-inch wheels, lightweight, they roll over some of those worn-out trail centers really well. And I know that you've had a great time on the KSL in bike park environments, right?
Yeah, definitely. Very nimble, lightweight machine, perfect for throwing around in the air at those kind of parks.
So, folks, let's know what you think. Let's know where you ride, what you ride. what type of bike you think you might be wanting to buy in the future, and we're more than happy to get involved in the discussion about lightweight, mid-assist bikes and, of course, full power bikes. Don't forget to subscribe to EMBN. We've got tons of e-mounted bike content, haven't we, Chris?
So many videos. Over 1,000 videos now, I believe.
Well, glad you're counting. But folks, it's not about the numbers, it's not about the Newton meters, it's not about the battery capacity. Ultimately, it's about how the bike rides. See you soon.